This man is considered the world's greatest lifeguard. He saved 907 people from drowning, despite missing something very vital: person swimming. Born in Galveston, Texas in 1905, tragedy struck 7-year-old LeRoy Colombo when he was the latest to be diagnosed with the outbreak of spinal meningitis that was sweeping through the state. While LeRoy was lucky to emerge from his illness alive, it robbed him of both his hearing and the use of his legs, which would make his achievements in adulthood all the more astounding. When their sibling returned home, LeRoy's brothers, refusing to accept his fate, immediately set to work, opting to get his legs working again by taking him swimming daily. When they weren't in the water, the brothers could be seen dragging little LeRoy up and down the alley behind their house. Their determination paid off, for within a year, he had regained the use of his legs. He had also developed a passion for swimming. LeRoy's hearing disability would render him ineducable by the public school system. He would, however, find a place at Austin's Texas School for the Deaf. This opportunity would open up a new world for him, as well as learning sign language and finding a community where he could finally communicate. He was also able to indulge his love for swimming. When LeRoy wasn't in class, he could be found in the nearby creek, where he would go on to rescue his first drowning victim. While at the school, he also became a competitive swimmer, his speed and strength winning him many races. After 6 years there, he returned to Galveston. Just a decade after his brush with death, LeRoy was on his way to becoming a lifeguard, sailing through the entrance exam, which required applicants to swim for 3 hours straight with no floating and using no form of support. His endless trophies were testament to his prowess in the water, but the greatest award LeRoy could possibly receive was the knowledge that he saved hundreds of people from death. With the waters on the Gulf side of Galveston Island being especially treacherous, LeRoy's presence at the beach was vital, with the lifeguard pulling endless swimmers from the deadly riptides. In a time when water safety and swimming programs were still relatively unestablished, and with many visitors to the area coming from towns and cities with little public access to pools, Galveston had the makings of a daily disaster. It was a task that LeRoy didn't find daunting. During his 50-year career, he excelled at his job, saving the lives of 907 people, although the total number of saves is believed to be over 1,000. Despite the figure being an astounding feat in itself, there was another aspect of LeRoy's achievement that was even more astonishing. While LeRoy had regained the use of his legs, his hearing had never returned. Had there been an interview process at the time, as a deaf applicant, there is a high chance he would have been refused the position. As it would turn out, being deaf would be the very thing that set LeRoy apart from his peers. Most lifeguards see a problem before they are able to the cries of someone in distress, but these cries were often blocked out by the crashing waves, cries of seagulls, and the sounds of children playing. With no audible distractions, LeRoy's other senses were incredibly heightened, particularly his visual attention and perception, as well as his motion detection skills. In 1974, Galveston Police Chief D.K. Lack would recall the lifeguard's enhanced skills. "He saved more people than I ever heard of or knew. He was one of the greatest lifeguards that ever lived. I know where he saved 3 people at one time, and once 4. He could sense anything going on in the water and see it before anyone else could. He's a legend in the city of Galveston." At the age of 62, LeRoy retired from his lifeguard duties. He continued swimming in the Gulf of Mexico for a mile a day, whatever the season, until a few weeks before his death at the age of 68. Following the news of his death, flags throughout Texas were lowered to half-mast, with a plaque erected in his honor at the beach where he had saved so many lives. LeRoy Colombo is still remembered by many as the world's greatest lifeguard. In 1976, he would receive recognition in the Guinness Book of World Records.